and gentlemen, good evening and welcome. After a break of a couple of weeks, we are back with The Nation Wants to Know. And I'm really excited today because the person who's on the screen taught me first ever in life what being a star is. And I will never forget that moment. First of all, a very warm welcome to you, Ravi Shastri, Really, really warm welcome to you. After ages, we are meeting in this sort of virtual way. I'm sure we'll meet soon again. But I just wanted to tell our viewers at the start when I first saw you. And I'll tell you, everyone has their own memory, right? Okay, so I think this is 1985, right? I think I was in Pune. I was studying, I think, at St. Vincent's School. I think it was class 5, Ravi, 5 or 6 at that time. And we saw this. We saw this young man on an Audi drive everyone absolutely crazy. We didn't know what an Audi was. And then he was there and he was just so confident. And he was taking a chakkar of the field. And Ravi, what was amazing was that we used to have black and white TVs till then, right? So we couldn't afford a color TV. And just around the time when this happened, we had just bought, I remember, a color TV. And I know there were a lot of people in the room. And we were just watching and savoring that moment. And what it meant to us was, viewers, was that a young man from India can beat the world. And then this title, Champion of Champions. For an Indian to be a global champion is one thing, but to have the title of Champion of Champions behind you. And there was aggression. There was this swashbuckling attitude, and I think it defined the period. This is pre-reforms, ladies and gentlemen, please remember, pre-reforms. India hadn't come out of reforms yet. We were not the most confident people when we went out globally, but we were the world beaters. So Ravi, that's my moment. That's my Ravi Shastri moment. It'll always stay. And anyone of my generation, right? Anyone of my generation will always keep that moment in their minds. And that's why I think I just want to start by saying that whether people like it or not, you are part of our history. And it's great to speak to you.
Thank you.
You remember that moment?
Very kind words.
You remember that moment, Ravi?
And, you don't forget anything when you're 22, 23 years of age. You don't forget anything even at my age now. But 22, 23, these are memories. That's what you play sport for. That's what you, when you leave and finish off everything, what lasts are memories. And that was fabulous stuff because I always wanted to do well in Australia, to go out there and do it. And then go back as coach there and win games in Melbourne. It's sometimes life, just goes around in a full circle, and I've seen it.
Yep. Please don't keep saying at my age, because I've noticed you say that very often nowadays, because you then remind us of ours. Doesn't sound good coming from you. But tell me, Ravi, how are you now, How are you today? You've spent 7 years on the road. What is it like to take a break after 7 years, and how are you overall?
I'm relieved, Arnab. To be honest, I'm very, very relieved because when I took this job, I said in my mind, I want to make a difference because I knew exactly what this team was all about, but I also knew they weren't playing the cricket like I wanted them to play, and the rankings showed it. So for them to have achieved what they have today and over the span of the last 5 years in particular has been outstanding. I mean, something unreal, something that I did not expect. So in my terms, they've overachieved. So I leave this place as a very satisfied man, very relieved. And with the kind of job satisfaction no other profession is given, not as a player, not as a broadcaster. These last 5-7 years have given me more job satisfaction than anything else because you were under the hammer. You were in public scrutiny.
Yep.
You were being judged for 7 years of your life, day in, day out. And it's time for me now to get on the judge's chair and judge some of these judges, but in due course.
No, wait a minute. You said being judged, being in public scrutiny. Expand on that. Why did you say being judged?
It's because cricket is like religion in India. It's you might win for 5 days and then you lose a couple of games and that's it. Out comes the piston, out comes the hammer, out comes the pen. And what comes out of all this stuff could be pretty acidic. So you've got to take it on the chin and you've got to march along, ensuring that none of that stuff, affects the team big time. You might take the bullet, but that's the job of a coach. To take the bullet. After that, you take all the criticism that comes your way. Mentally, in your mind, treat it as constructive, even though it might not. And then move on with life. So that's the fun part of it. That's why this job makes it more job satisfying than anything else. Because you overcome all those hurdles. You don't let that pull you down. And then ensure that the team is in the best frame of mind to get out there and play their best cricket.
Did you feel that there was a gun to your head for a long part of this 7-year period? Or at least the second part of it? Did you feel there was a gun to your head?
No, because that's India. And whoever takes over from me as well, it's going to be pretty much similar because we are sentimental. Like you win a game, you're fine. You lose a game. But because we won so much over the last 5 years, people weren't used to us losing. So when that day came along, well, the gun was definitely out.
How did you, give me one example of it from maybe in these 7 years. Give me one example where you felt the gun was unfairly fired.
Oh, many occasions, because this was a young team in transition. It was growing up. It was, it was coming from number 7, 6, 5 through the ranks. And at times I thought that there was a lot of stuff in the media where people didn't realize what the potential this team had, where it can go. And I knew the kind of criticism at times that were coming their way could affect them. So I had to take the blame, and being open. I made some statements that I would not have made. Like for example, I said the best traveling team in the world. I want this to be the best traveling team in the world, and people thought I was speaking Spanish or French. But a year later, they realized that this was the English language. This is what he meant, and this is what his team is all about today. So I took the flak for that, but deep down, in my dressing room, I knew the players knew what I had said, and they had to live up to it. So it's called as deflection of pressure. So in many ways, that was the time when it really came out. They called it as bold, bombastic statements, but you are what you are, and what you see is what you'll get.
No, but, was it always your plan to quit and not extend your tenure as a coach?
Yes.
Was it always your plan to quit after your term ended post the T20 World Cup? You could have applied to extend your tenure. You could have stayed on for a bit longer, Ravi.
No,
because as you yourself said, you're protecting the team. You are almost like a shield. You're taking the bullet, right? Now, if you're taking the bullet, the shield can't disappear overnight and say, okay, I'm gone, take the bullet yourself.
I've done it for 7 years, right? And, I believe in life, never overstay your welcome. You know when the time is up for you to go, and you should go. And the reason I went is because of the last 18, 20 months. The way you travel, I've been 4 months in quarantine, 3.5, 4 months in quarantine, which is self-isolation. Then I got COVID. So that was another 10 days of self-isolation. And you live in a bubble. And I'm pushing 60. There's an age limit for everything you do. If I was 10 years younger, 100% I would have reapplied. There's no question about it. But you must respect your age, you must respect your body, you must respect the fact that probably the dressing room might need some fresh ideas, some new voices, some different direction, because you spent long enough in the dressing room. And any sportsman or any individual in life, a smart guy in life, will know when to relinquish. Okay, I did that with my career when I was injured, and I did that now. And it was not something that was, I thought about it way back in England in the month of June or July. It was very clear to me that this is the path forward, and I have to go and I have to pursue other things in life. The way media has explored, I could go back to what I do, or I could do different things.
Was there friction over the team management with the BCCI? There is talk among players within the team had complained that Virat was unapproachable when needed off the field, that you have this tremendous soft corner for Virat. It had become a Virat Ravi Shastri team. If you just go through the media, you read it, it's all become Virat Ravi Shastri Virat, almost as if there's a duopoly, between Virat and Ravi.
The beauty about all that is I don't read. I don't read all that stuff. I know what's happening in the dressing room. For me, it is results. So at the end of the day, if the team has performed the way it has, I have nothing to say. People can speculate, people can write. But what the team writes on the scorecard is what will be etched in everyone's memory, not what people write. What does that scorecard say? What does it show? I want facts. So I don't, that stuff can be written and can be written lifelong. I don't care. I'm out of it. I'm done and dusted. Facts are there in the score sheet for everyone to see.
Have you had conflict with Ganguly? Why couldn't you ever get along with Sourav Ganguly? What exactly is the problem between Ravi Shastri and Sourav Ganguly? And don't give me a diplomatic reply.
He's my buddy, man. That is again nice bhel puri and masala for the media. I've said that time and time again. Yes, he has his views. I might have my views. At times, there might be a clash. But listen, I've known Sourav from a very young age. Very, very young age. In fact, I was instrumental in bringing him into Tata Steel when I was the captain of Tatas, because I saw his talent. And I saw his talent very early. So I'm talking when he might have been 19 or 20 years of age, when he came to Bombay to play for Tatas in the Time Shield tournaments that we used to have. So it's, what is written, what is created, the scenes that can be created is massive. I have absolutely no issues. In fact, I don't have any issues with no one I played the game with.
Now, you know one thing. See, Ravi, I don't just have a lack of understanding or knowledge of the game. I also don't know much about cricket and cricket politics. It's just that I have, it comes across. You read the media, there is an unwritten story of a fight between Sourav and Ravi Shastri, and we got to talk about it. And a lot of people, knowing that you're being interviewed by me, would want to hear about it. So don't mind. And I also know Sourav well. I know you well. So I have no agenda here. But just so I must ask you to tell me what really happened in 2016 when you were denied that position as coach. When you failed to get appointed as head coach over Anil Kumble. Did you blame the Prince of Kolkata over it? Did you call the selection process disrespectful? You called the selection process disrespectful. What happened then? Can you please tell me what happened? And how was it working with the BCCI with Ganguly as head later? But what happened in 2016? Take me back to that, because so much has been written about it. And I think you and I must take the opportunity to explain to the viewers what happened, right? So Ravi, what happened? Why did you call the selection process disrespectful?
Whatever you said, you're damn right. Because I did say it. Okay?
Yeah.
And the reason I said it was because there was a meeting, right, in Calcutta, and I was on a Zoom call from outside.
Correct.
And the committee was Tendulkar, Lakshman, and Ganguly.
Correct.
So when my interview came up, Ganguly was missing. Okay?
Yeah.
Get that right. So he was missing. He was not in that interview. That's the reason why I thought it was disrespectful. And I have every right to say it. I don't need a skirt to hide behind, right? And if I have to say something, I'll say it. And that's the reason I said it. So if people can grab that and make an issue between two individuals just because of that moment, so be it. It's not in my control. But I know what my relationship with him is, and what I had to say, I said at that time.
No, but it got.
And I will still say. So what you said, that's why I said what you said is.
No, I know. It got seen as a very public fallout. between you and Saurav Ganguly when you reapplied, because you were reapplying for the coach's job, and Ganguly was, I think, a cricket advisory committee. Did he oppose your re-entry? Was there, because of that, was there some pent-up resentment from either side?
Not either side.
Did that pent-up resentment stay?
I'll speak for myself. I was disappointed because he was my junior. I'd seen him grow. I'd seen him evolve as a cricketer. Probably all his career I covered on television. I was probably broadcasting. So I was disappointed. So let's just leave it at that. And after a while, I said, you can't carry over believing in all these things. And I'm a guy, who can, let things go very easily. So, I'm not a kind of guy who keeps anything inside and waits for a day to jump on that person or something of that. So I've never been that kind of guy, because when you have that kind of an attitude, then in team sport, it becomes a problem. Even the job I just did, it can become a problem. So you must have that ability to, okay, you're disappointed, right, but don't keep it in yourself that much where you have to do something even worse or stupid or a big mistake in the future.
So there's nothing in your heart, like nothing, there's no part of your heart which has these knives out for Saurav Ganguly.
I've lost you.
I said there's no part of your heart which has knives out for Saurav Ganguly. There's this whole parable, this whole story which is being told by numerous cricket journalists directly or indirectly. You're saying it's not there.
You can speak to him. You can speak to him, Saurav, yourself, and ask him over the last year and a half or two. Ever since that incident has happened. Okay, there might have been we might have been in cold storage for 6 months. But then there's a thawing process, and at my age, I cannot, he's a guy who's played under me. He's a guy who I've seen grow. I'm not the kind of guy who's going to keep that animosity going just because of that little 15, 20-minute interview. So from my side, my consciousness is clear. I have nothing. I have absolutely nothing, and we've spoken to each other enough in the last year.
Yeah, but Ravi, if you say, if you say at my age once more, once more, see, it's okay. You're fine, Ravi. You're fine. You're younger than most people at your age. But tell me, Ravi. In September, both you and Virat got admonished by the BCCI for attending a book launch in London. I'm sorry, I think you had COVID also at that point of time, and there was a talk of a bubble. There was this whole implicit, the whole implicit understory there, which is not told, which is that, Virat and Ravi Shastri have become a law unto themselves. They do what they want, and the whole series gets compromised. There are media reports all over the place, and they do what they want, and the rest of the system is here to handle the mess. That is it may not have been written, but that's the story that I read as a journalist when I see all those articles. What happened? Why were you admonished? How did it affect you? How did it affect Virat? Was there tension? Please, can you share more about what happened then? A lot written about.
I'll tell you. First of all, Boris Johnson opened England on the 19th of July. So when it comes to you telling me that there was a bubble, there was no bubble. So let me tell you, first address that. There was no bubble. The country was open. We went to Leeds. We stayed in a hotel where there was entire public on the floor. We used the same lifts as the people staying in the hotel. We came back to London. It's all open. You could go where you want. Okay. Certain places, which I cannot mention now, we were told not to go to by the anti-corruption unit or the security or whatever. But otherwise, everything was open. So in that book launch, I was the only guy who got COVID. That's what the media thinks. But I think I got that in Leeds because of the incubation period that took place for 3-4 days, 7-8 days, what it takes. I got it around the 3rd or 4th. And my book launch was on the 31st. And it was a beautiful book launch, attended by about 200, 300 people, very distinguished guests from all all sections of society. And I was the only guy who got it. And if someone else got it, I don't know. But I know I'm the only guy who got it because I've got friends who came there. They were all fine. And when we were playing a test at the Oval after that, now this is very important. We were going up a staircase that was used by the public, and over 5,000 people were sitting in that stand. So up and down that staircase or through the lifts, there was spectators going up and down. So if someone says that's a bubble, I'll say, so take a walk. So and COVID, as you know, you've got it. It can come from anywhere. I mean, then our physio got it. Now, physio got it about 8-10 days later on his way to Manchester. And he got it. Now, where he got it from, again, you're talking of, it's very easy to say book launch. Where did he get it from? It could have been anywhere in the public. And so many people have got it and will get it in the future. People will get it in spite of the bubble. Let me assure you that. So, it's a question of letting people know what is the truth. So don't create stories by saying there was a bubble. There was no bubble.
No, the way it was written, the coach and the captain, the captain will be asked to explain the circumstances after the fourth test.
There's no explanation needed. There was no explanation needed because this was facts that were not being put out.
No, but the way I'm reading articles, the way written, ever since the news broke, leaked images of Shastri along with Virat Kohli and Cheteshwar Pujara attending a public event have found their way to the internet, almost as if you were caught red-handed. Were stories being planted? Was a certain section of the media also
Absolutely.
after you?
Oh, big time planting. Puji, you mentioned Pujara. You think Pujara will break a rule? You think he will break a rule? Now, that immediately tells me that's a serious plant.
Who's planting?
I don't know, it's a plant or an implant, but
who's planting?
Something fishy there.
But who's planting? Who's planting, Ravi? I'm saying who's planting? Who's doing the planting?
I don't know. And neither am I bothered because it doesn't affect me.
One thing I've always felt, and I know I'm not going to be popular among journalists for saying this, film journalists and sports journalists spend a lot of their time getting into these cliques. Film journalists and sports journalists are part of these camps, and I've always found it a great problem as an editor. And I've told film journalists and sports journalists, you're not in the business of PR. Please don't get into a camp because you won't be respected by either side. But they want to. Anyway, this whole story came about that Kohli and Ravi Shastri are ruling the roost. And ever since you were reappointed as after the Kumble Virat spat, there was a narrative that, see, Ravi Shastri is Virat Kohli's favorite man. Right? And there's this understanding between them. What do you have to say about that? Please address that.
How do I answer that? When the team tastes success like very few Indian teams have done, especially overseas, and where you just have to keep writing day in, day out of how good the team is, how well they played. You have to find certain stories that will interest the public who want to read the paper. So they look for anything. But when a team has tasted success like this team, I would rather tell people celebrate this Indian team, the way they played, over the last 5 years. You won't get too many teams in the history of the game. I'm not talking India. In the history of the game, across continents, across different countries, that would have played the kind of cricket across all formats like this Indian cricket team.
Now, was Virat's resignation a lever to retain you as coach? For example, was Virat Kohli's resignation saying, and he said that I need to give myself space to be fully ready to lead the Indian team in Test and ODI cricket. Was that due to overload, or was it a lever to ensure that you were retained as head coach?
No, I think it was, I don't think it was either. It was not overload. It was, see, sometimes in the dressing room, Arnab, people might not get along. It could have happened between me and Kohli. And then one would have had to move out. It could have been me, it could have been him. But when things are not gelling, the best thing, so that the team doesn't suffer, is, one man takes the initiative and moves out. It could have been a case where tomorrow, if Virat and me were not getting along, I would have just walked up to him. I said, there seems to be a problem with you and me. Let me go. In the interest of the team. So you have to look at the bigger picture at the end of the day. I have not asked him what was going through exactly through his mind at that stage because I was not part of the team. But if I was part of the team and I was in the shoes like Anil was or Virat was, I would have walked up straight and told him, listen, there's an issue here. It's time for me to go. Simple.
What about timing? If you're preparing for a big event, if just preparing for a big event, and it says before the T20 World Cup, timing, don't you think the announcement just before the T20 World Cup would have impacted the performance of the Indian team? Can you really say with confidence that it had no impact on the team?
I don't think it would have had any impact on the team because, the World Cup doesn't need any motivation for any of the players. It's a big event. You go into that tournament thinking you want to play to win. It is how fresh your mind is, how, the physical condition you're in, how fresh you are physically and mentally to handle the pressure of those big events. I don't think that had anything to play with, what eventually happened.
What eventually happened? What was going on? I mean, this is so fresh in our minds. Somewhere was there a dwindling feeling? I mean, what happened? What was? How did it go so bad? I mean, was it lack of motivation, skill, tiredness has been spoken about, fatigue, overplaying, or just not being able to focus? Or maybe the undercurrent of all this, all this tension.
No, I would say more than anything else is in T20 cricket, it's how good you're on the day and how bold you are in taking the initiative. In the game against Pakistan, we got some runs on the board, but we were 10, 15 short, and they played outstandingly well to beat us. The next game against New Zealand, I thought we lacked the daring. Let me be honest. I'm not the one who gives excuses, toss, due, all that crap. I don't believe it. We didn't have the daring. We were timid on that day against New Zealand and paid the price for it. So if you lose 2 games on the trot in a T20 World Cup, there's very little time to come back and catch up. Now, without you using it as an excuse, I thought the scheduling could have been much better. You're living in a bubble. You have played first game against Pakistan, you've lost that game. Then for us to sit for a week, twiddling our thumbs and just going for practice every now and then, and practice can be counterproductive at that time. Because what you want is to get back on the park and get that score sheet right again. So ideally, in the future, never a week off. There should have been a game there in between against whoever. And keep the ball rolling. See, I thought in the game last night, Pakistan, same thing happened with them. I thought they had too long a break. They had 6 days off before they played Australia. And again, the toss is important. That's the obvious. Everybody has said it. So that was the case.
Why were we not daring in the New Zealand match? Why were we not daring enough Why were we not daring enough in the New Zealand match? What was it? Who was taking the wrong decision?
See, it's there. Sometimes the occasion and the pressure can get to you, and when you have played so much of cricket, when you have lived 6 months in the bubble, and this I'm not protecting anyone. I'm stating straight facts because people in air-conditioned rooms sitting at home, it's very easy to complain. But when a guy is sitting in a bubble for 6 months, where he's not gone home, he's not seen his parents, and day in, day out, you're seeing the same people, it could be a mentally draining process. So in sport, they say, or in any walk of life, when you have to punch, right, on the big stage, you got to be bloody alert here and fresh here. And when you could be mentally trained, that X factor that is needed at that given moment of time to seize the moment doesn't happen. And it didn't happen against New Zealand. So let's
What is
be
that
very
X
clear.
factor, Ravi? What is that X factor? Define it.
X factor is you will go and be braver. You will attack. You take your chances. There's not what if or what can happen. It will happen. Let me go for it. There's no self-doubt. It is fearlessness and believing in your instincts and strengths.
There's a frame of mind, you mean? Frame of mind.
Take a big minus at the end of it.
You mean frame of
Sorry?
mind? To get everyone in sync with the same frame of mind in the team, right?
Correct. So,
Wait a minute. Would that be possible? Would that be possible if there are other people in the team who are thinking, listen, we're here today, Virat's going, Ravi Shastri is going, God knows who's coming, what will be my place? Was that flux happening at the wrong time as well? Can you have the X factor when the team is in that kind of flux?
Not at all. Not at all. No, that can happen in an under-19 team or an under-15 team. Not when you're playing for India. Like I'll tell you as a player, if I had a captain announcing before that he's going, it won't affect me one bit. It won't affect me one bit. In fact, I will know the job I have to do, the professional you are as a cricketer, the work ethics you have to go through and get out there and do your job. You can't be worried. When you're playing at this level, I can understand under 15, under 19 where a guy can get emotional. Not at this level.
Okay. Did you and Virat become too big? Ravi, now structures, systems, BCCI is a system. I personally believe it's too big a system. I have problems with it, but I'm not an expert. But it's a system. It's like this, a large monolith with many tentacles, many parts, many moving parts, many interests, a lot of money. And maybe the system did not like, or does not like, or will not like in the future, any one or two people to become too big. And so the question being, did you and Virat at one point become too big for the BCCI to rein in? I mean, isn't there a massive churn occurring in the T20 format where MS Dhoni is brought back as a mentor? Now they say he's brought back for one particular period or a time or a tournament, but was it a sign that Virat Kohli's captaincy and your role as coach will not suffice, or a message deliberately being given that you are both replaceable? Was the system sending that message?
Not at all. Not at all. I mean, we both were going in any case. So where's the question of sending someone to replace us? It was way before the tournament. It was loud and clear to the world that we were going. So that's out of the way. Number two, people will keep pointing fingers at the BCCI, but it is the best, it's the most successful organization that has run sport in our country in the last 50 years. I'm not saying because I was part of it, but it's a fact. People will, when you are successful, when there's money out there, when the bucks come in, like it comes in for the IPL, like it's come in now with the two new teams coming in, people are going to ask questions. But at the end of the day, if you look at what Indian cricket has done in the last 40 years and compare it with any other country in the world, I mean, performance-wise, financially, structure-wise, it's better than any other board, or it will compete with any other board in the world. Yes, they might have some systems in place that are better, but you cannot take away from the fact that this is not a country of 16 million, 15 million, or 4 million like in New Zealand, or 60 million in England. This is 1.2 billion people. It's not easy. But it's a structure that's been tried, tested, and it's gone through the path. With flying colors, let me say. You can't have a team that has played the last 6 years being number one across all formats at some stage or the other, if you didn't have a system in place, or if the system doubted your ability.
Yeah.
Let me be blunt there.
Yeah, but you know what I'm getting at. I'm getting to the point that were you more powerful at one point of time performance-wise than the BCCI? Because under the Shastri-Kohli coach-captain combination, India won 44 and lost 21 games in this format, in this period, right? And you had one tied game and no result in one. That's a win percentage of over 67%. So when you were when I saw you that day and you said to the team, in your last speech, that we will be remembered as one of the best teams that have played the game in this last 5 to 6 year period. Statistically, you are correct, because you end up with a winning percentage of 67.5%. Anyone would die to have that percentage, right?
Arnab, that percentage is beaten by only one international team, okay, in this modern era, and that's the All Blacks in rugby. Okay, this kind of percentage is unheard of, and this is a tribute to the guys for the way they played. It's not easy, I'm telling you. That is why I say they've over-exceeded my expectations. To travel in these times, in COVID times, come on, there has to be some empathy, man. You can't keep going and telling, we need this, we need that. 67% is stamped on your face, right? It's in front of you for you to see.
Yeah.
And it's across all formats across the globe.
Yeah.
Yes, and I keep telling you, there'll be one point that will be kept, you'll be kept being asked, oh, but we did not win an ICC trophy. I said, that's for the team in the future to do, or the team in the past that has done. I was not here to chase silverware. I was here to infuse steel.
Yeah.
Silverware, we've got enough, in the last 5 years. If you have too much of that at my age, or again, I'm going to use the word my age or a little later, I don't have time to polish it.
There you go again.
Steel will stay.
Yeah, so isn't it strange, Ravi? When you look at the sum total, I look at the sum total of an individual's contribution or a team's contribution, and personally I think that it's terrible. It's most unfortunate that at the end of all that, it's all come down to, oh, you know what, there was this fight which was going on. And the game is not spoken about. And people whose jobs it is to follow the game are not talking about the game. They are talking about the quote-unquote politics of the game. And I wonder why. Why?
Because, if I get surprised, where I said if any other country had performed like this, we are more celebrated in the world media than we are here in our own land. And that disappoints me. Because, I've been part of the media too for 23, 24 years. I know most of these journalists. And sometimes I feel, do you have an agenda? Where are you coming from? Now is the time I'll get a chance, probably if I've read one or two of those pieces, to ask the individual, bluntly on his face, what were you thinking? What was the agenda? Was it your mind or someone else's mind asking you to put that out? And be frank and let me know. You don't want to answer me, don't answer me. It's your prerogative. But the fact of the matter is, we got to learn to celebrate our performances rather than keep pointing fingers. That's when we'll become a bigger sporting nation, not just in cricket, but in every other sport. Yeah. I promise you, we've got the talent, we've got the skill, we've got the natural ability to win and do much better across every other sport that we play in. Yeah. I'm not talking cricket. But we should learn to celebrate our performances in a better manner.
Yeah, on this very program, 2-3 weeks back, I had other two of my favorite people, Leander Paes and Mahesh Bhupati. They were together, one on each window, and I was joking with them that you should be sitting together. And when I was watching that documentary, great documentary that they made, you must see it if you haven't already, many people in retrospect are now saying that, you know what, maybe we got played. Maybe Leander was being told stories by Mahesh's camp, and Mahesh was hearing stories from Leander's camp, and because, quote unquote, it may be individuals, professionals, journalists, writers, the people on the ring side were building this narrative, And I had the feeling that it actually affected the equation between them, and they were playing. I think they affected their game. I think they would have played longer, better together had these stories not been published. So I don't know. I find similarities between a little bit of what happened there and here. Do you think, Ravi?
200% right. 200. I know both of them. Magnificent players, magnificent individuals. And I'm dying to see the documentary. I know Mahesh, I know Leander, and you are damn right when you say there was a wedge that was trying to be put in between to create, friction. It is exactly, not at that level. It's not that they're buddies, they'll hug each other or they'll play marbles with each other every day. But they're two professionals who have mutual respect for each other. On a much smaller scale, it is exactly like Ganguly and Shastri.
Isn't
on a
it?
smaller scale,
Yeah.
drive the wedge in.
Yeah.
Put some masala, nimbu, drive the wedge in and, try and create stories. But it's not that I play marbles with Saurabh or he's my buddy. But there's mutual respect. So let's leave it at that. So exactly, you are damn right when you say that about Leander and Mahesh.
Yeah, in the course of this chat, because I find similar personality types out here. As a personality type, similar personality type, you both of you, play with your heart. Though I think he speaks more with his mind. You speak from your heart. He thinks more before he speaks. But personality types, it's fantastic. If you were to look at Saurav Ganguly as a player, I think it would be unforgettable, that moment of Saurabh with the shirt, off. And I spoke to him when we launched our Bangla channel. He was kind to give us an interview. I said, that's amazing.
That's why, Arnab, I say it is, you will have mutual respect. No two personalities could be the same.
Yeah.
No two personalities could be the same. But what I'm saying is the bottom line is, why did I get a feeling over the last 6-7 years, whenever India was doing well, it didn't please a lot of people. Whereas that's the difference. Now I've got it. When a team does well in England or in New Zealand or in Australia, it's celebrated. People go to town. But here, it's as if people are waiting for you to fall. They're waiting for you to have a bad day in the office. And which is bound to happen. 67%. Even a guy like Bradman failed in every 3 innings or 4 innings and still averaged 99. So when that percentage reaches close to 70 in a team sport that you play across the globe, you must realize, what these guys have gone through. Because no team, this is like a Brazilian football team, the Indian cricket team. They are rock stars. They are a band of rock stars that travel around the world. Wherever they go, they pull in crowds.
Yeah.
If you look at the money that comes into the game just because of the Indian cricket team, it's unreal.
Yeah.
80% of the sponsorship in this ICC event is come from India.
Yeah.
It's because of the brand of cricket you play as well.
Yeah.
If you keep losing, yes, it will have an effect. And then everyone has the right to, at least go dive in deep and see what is wrong and how it can be cleaned up. But when a spoke is not broken, why are you trying to manufacture something?
Yeah. No, can I just ask you this? Can I just ask you this? So you say it straight out here that for people to say that Saurav Ganguly had any role in Ravi Shastri no longer being head coach of the Indian cricket team, would you like to set the record straight on that, Ravi?
What was in his mind, I don't know. No. All I know that when I spoke in front of the committee, he wasn't there. And that for me was very disappointing. Now, whether he wanted me or didn't want me,
but that is then.
It's for you to fathom.
But that is then. What about now?
It's very easy to say.
Now. I'm talking of 2021.
No, very easy. I'll tell you. Because for me, the way I thought of it, why I use the word disrespectful was he wasn't there because he had already made up his mind as to who's going to be the next coach. As simple as that. And that's why it hurt me. Because I said, I've known this guy for so long. If he didn't want me to be the coach, tell me on my face, man. I'm not a guy who's going to, get out a handkerchief and start crying because, you've told me you're not the coach. I'm a man, yeah. I mean, I've taken enough knocks in my life. I'll walk away into the sunset if I have to. But tell me on my face. That's all. Look me in the eye and tell me on the face.
So that was 2017. I'm talking about now. Now.
Now, what's the problem now?
So
now there's no problem whatsoever.
No, now he's the BCCI chief. You're moving on as head coach. Who do you think has had a role in this, or is it just your own decision?
My own decision. No one else has had a role in this at all. Absolutely. Probably if I had not announced in England itself that I'm going, and I'd say I'm reapplying, it could well have taken another turn.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Yeah, because then you would have needed a committee to say, whoever applies, that this guy has not done a job to throw him out. Oh, that would have been very interesting.
No. So you say you made it easy for those who wanted you out?
I didn't make it easy. No. I won't say I made it easy. I mean, I decided to go. So they had BCCI did the right thing, and I, in fact, thanked the BCCI for giving me the opportunity to do this job for that span of time. And 7 years is long. I don't think any coach has lasted 7 years, leave alone 4 or 5 years. So when the time is up, an individual knows.
There was a lot of talk about your partnership with Virat Kohli. But again, coming back to the point, were you an exclusionary clique in operation? Case in point, let me take up a couple of case in points. There was unfair selection alleged in the Test Championship against the West Indies. August 2019, when Virat dropped Rohit Sharma and Ashwin, who were in good form, and then retained KL Rahul, Hardik Pandya, Chahal, and apparently they were not doing that well at that point of time. Was that unfair selection?
No, at no stage was there any agenda in selection in the last 7 years. You can be rest assured that you're hearing it from the horse's mouth. In this team, when the coach himself doesn't have an agenda, nothing of that sort will creep in. I do not get involved in the selection of the team. Arnab, you must remember, I get involved in the selection of the 11. So who picks the 15 is also accountable. Yes, I'm accountable as selector, being part of the selection process that picks the 11. The 15 are picked by the selectors, where even the captain doesn't have a vote.
No, but was there favoritism? When Ajinkya Rahanke, who was out of form and was not able to deliver, was picked for the England Test series.
Who was this?
Ajinkya Rahane.
Hello?
Ajinkya Rahane, I meant Ajinkya Rahane.
Ajinkya Rahane? I mean, were people on a holiday, or were they sleeping when he got that 100 at Melbourne on Boxing Day 6 months ago? When India from 36 all out in the previous test match bounced back to win the test match and he was captain. Are these guys blind? Are they seeing something different from what other people are seeing? To suddenly be judgmental in 4 months or 5 months? I mean, it's amazing how when you have that record of 67%, still you're looking for the little things,
What about Jasprit Bumrah being benched for the second test against England? That's February this year. He was a top performer in all the 3 formats, one of the best pacers.
No, that was management. His workload was, he had gone through enough in Australia. We had to be careful about him. We knew that in India, spin was more important than pace. We had to rest him so that he doesn't get injured and plays the full series in England. which he did. So their man management comes into play. My bowling coach will tell me, the physios will tell me, you're in touch with the trainers. So it's the entire support staff in place that takes the call, because you can't flog someone right through the year and expect him to give his 100% all the time. Your body needs a break. So where it's going to be counterproductive, in just playing him for the sake of playing, we decided it's better he rests and comes back when absolutely needed.
Now, it's not you and Virat Kohli just sitting there taking these decisions, not informing anyone, excluding everybody else.
Not at all. Not at all. I mean, that is all fiction, man. That's all never happens. This is the team management, the physios, the trainers that all decide.
But you must have been reading all this, right? You must have been reading all this. It must,
No, I don't read, Arnab. I don't read because it's not important. This is all. I mean, I won't even have time for that. Not even 0.5% of time for that, because
what about Virat?
It comes from the physios.
What about Virat?
Neither does Virat, because even he's not involved here. It's the physios, the trainers, who see the workload. There are monitors put. How much comes out of a player. Every player that goes in, there's a little bit of instrument put at the back, which tells how much has come out of him in that day. And
do you think
then the trainers and the physios know what the workload of the player is. Is he fatigued? Does he need a break? Does he need time to recover? And on those grounds, and sometimes you don't want it. The problem is, at times you say, no, I need him to play. But that's when you can be selfish and the player breaks down. Then you have to accept the fact that it was not your field of expertise, but you forced him to play.
But so
you have to be very smart here.
Okay, is Virat really at a point of time in his career to be no longer captain?
Absolutely not. How can you? I mean,
he's not T20 captain. He may not be ODI captain.
Yeah.
So why is this happening?
Why is he? See, what he's done in red ball cricket. If even people think about, because anyone who's thinking, he's never done it. No Indian cricketer has had the kind of success he's had in Test cricket. I don't think, even on the world stage, he'll be right up there with the great captains of all time when it comes to success rate of a team. So why are we even talking about it? Unless he doesn't want, unless he feels that he needs, to shelve the burden and focus on his batting and concentrate on his batting, only he will know, how much of a burden it is on his shoulders. But
do you think he should stay on as ODI captain?
To even speculate or contemplate is.
Do you think he should stay on as ODI and T20 captain? Do you see him?
See, I've just come out of the dressing room now. I'm going to chill. I'm going to take a chill pill and relax.
Take a chill pill, but still.
And I don't think it's the right platform for me at this moment of time to already start speculating on this Indian team. That's why I've taken a total break for 3 months. I'm not going anywhere near the commentary box. I'm going nowhere near a media space in the next 3 months to even speak about a player, because I've been part of that dressing room for 7 years. I know these boys like my younger brothers, right? So I think I need some time. And then when I come, I will speak on what I think is right. You can ask me this question in 3 months' time.
But do you think he has captaincy in him? Do you think he has a lot of captaincy in him? He's a good leader.
In 3 months' time, of course he has captaincy in him. In red ball cricket, no one can touch him. He's the best in the world. I mean, you've been number one team in the world for 5 years. Okay, you might have lost that World Test Championship, but you are the number one team in the world. So, and who's the captain of that number one team? It's Virat Kohli. So to even think, whoever is thinking, I don't care who the cricketer is. If it's a cricketer, well, he should look inside and ask himself, has he done what this guy has done? Before he even opens his trap.
That's Test cricket. That's for Test cricket, you're saying. Test cricket. That's for Test cricket.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What about ODI?
3 months from now, you will get the total answers for all this.
But is he the best captain ODI cricket can get? Indian ODI cricket can get today?
I said, like I told you, it is entirely up to him, just like he gave his T20 captaincy up. It's entirely up to him what he wants to do. And then the selectors are there to take a call. But I am not going to speak on this subject as of now.
No, although everyone, one more. No, but therefore, do you think he should be giving it up? I mean, like, why?
He should be giving it up only if he feels that it's a burden on his shoulders. If he feels it's a burden on his shoulders, then, he might well say. Or if the selectors think that it's better to have just one captain for white ball cricket, it's their call. But I'm not a selector at this moment of time.
Do you think there should be one captain for white ball cricket?
Sorry?
Do you think there should be one captain for white ball cricket? Because that's saying that Kohli should go. If you've already taken his decision, he's not in T20s. By saying there's one captain for white ball cricket, that's like opening the door for him and asking him to go.
No, but that's for the selectors to decide. Like I said, I'll be in a position to answer this 3 months from now. It's not right on my part to speak anything about my players individually in any capacity for the next 3 months, because that is the respect I have for the dressing room. And for me, it's like a temple, church, mosque, real house of power. And I respect that.
Okay, tell me about the fatigue factor. You wrote a lot, you spoke about the fatigue factor. Why was there this friction between you and the ICC when speaking about the T20 World performance? You said all cricket boards and the ICC need to think about how they are going to handle the players' mental fatigue.
Absolutely, because of the COVID times. When you're in a bubble, people don't realize. People are sitting in air-conditioned rooms, sitting at home, mixing with people, meeting people. When you can't get out of your hotel, right? You go to the ground, back to the hotel, ground, back to the hotel. And each country you go, quarantine rules are different. It's 14 days quarantine in Australia. It means self-isolation in a room where the food is kept outside your door. There is no housekeeping, there's no room service. You eat at certain times and you leave that, and you are alone. So when a guy in a year, now if people want real facts, in the last 2 years, in the last 24 months, the guys have been home for 25 days. The guys who have played all formats of the game. That's how, and if a human doesn't get mentally tired after all that, then I don't know. I have no other explanation. People can say what they want, but and it's happening, it's showing. Players must be given the choice if they want to play or not want to. And it should not be taken otherwise if he decides, I want a break. Just like it's happening in England now. Look at Ben Stokes, the best all-rounder in the world. What he's gone. And I'm glad that he's finally said, I'm going to Australia. But that's after 4 months, 5 months. He's a precious cricketer for England. But fatigue, bubbles, he couldn't take it. And he just said, I need to go home. So, it's not easy. When you're locked up in a room and then you're under extreme pressure to perform for your country with the expectations our country has, Arnab, it's not easy. I promise you it's not easy. It's not easy at all.
Is that what you meant when you said, parting words?
That's when I think a lot of empathy has to be shown to these guys.
No, absolutely. Your parting words to the team when you said, when I took this job, I said in my mind, I want to make a difference. And I think I have. But sometimes in life, it's not about what you accomplish. It's about what you overcome. What was the most difficult thing to overcome for you as a coach?
The hurdles, the various hurdles that come on the way. It could be just hurdles that happen with the cricket team, like you get out early, you lose a few matches. How do you bounce back? You have injuries. You have COVID times, which is cricket has never seen these times since the Second World War. Such tough times to play in. These are hurdles. Sometimes unforeseen. In Australia, I didn't have a team to put out on the park. I lost all my 5 bowlers. Virat had gone back. We had a new captain. You had barely 16 people in the dressing room. and you had to play 11, a lot of debutants. These are hurdles. So, what you accomplish is out there, but it's not all about that. It's what did you overcome to achieve that. That makes the story special in life. In whatever you do, in any walk of life, it's what you overcome to eventually accomplish is, for me, is the clincher. That's the game.
What's the one piece of advice you'd give to Rahul Dravid as he takes over?
I think he knows exactly what to do. He's inherited a great cricket team, and with his stature, with his knowledge of the game, he's been hands-on with coaching with the younger teams. I think he'll only raise the bar further, and I wish him all the luck, because he is just the right person for this job at this moment of time.
Yeah, he's very mature, very cool, head on his shoulders always. I'm sure he is. Now, I think personally, a lot of people would want you to continue to work with Indian cricket. So that would mean that, you and Sourav Ganguly will have to have a working relationship. Now, is that possible, Ravi? The thing is, after 7 years, what happens is that you have a lot of insight into Indian cricket, right? And now with a fairly successful career so far as the BCCI chief, before that Cricket Association of Bengal, Sourav has also proven himself very well as an administrator, cool head. Do you see yourself continuing to work with Indian cricket, with the BCCI, with Sourav perhaps? Or can that happen?
Oh, why not? I mean, I'll definitely be looking at carrying on with coaching. It could be in the IPL with the team. It could be grassroots level coaching. I'll still be involved with the media, television, covering the game, giving my experiences, what I learned from here, back to the system. Especially the insight of a dressing room, which is what a player goes through, what is in his mind. It's what is the modern mindset when they play the game as opposed to my era. There's a heck of a lot you can give back to the game. And who am I? I'm here in life today because of this great game. I mean, that's given me everything. And I think for the next decade, in my next avatar will be nothing different. It will be involved with this game. It could be grassroots level coaching. It could be with the IPL. It could be television across the globe, around the globe for wherever I am. So there are enough places to go to.
Oh, absolutely, there is. I think that's great what you just said, and I think a lot of people want to see that continuity. And I just think this whole conversation today, in a way, sets a lot of things on a good balance, Ravi. Clears a lot of things, and I think also will make people think about whether everything that they read is not the reality, but the way things are presented. I think that part of this conversation today, Ravi, has been very important. Tell me one thing. I had the pleasure in the earlier channel which I founded. You had come on as an expert, and it was wonderful to meet you. And on a lighter note, I'll tell you, Ravi, that I had Navjot Singh Sidhu also do a bit of that for me, and I said there couldn't have been two more different personalities.
No, but
Sidhu was something.
I must say, we've talked so much about the media and what's written and all. I had literally tears in my eyes when I woke up in the morning after the last day, us finishing the World Cup, me going to leave the hotel for one final time. I was literally overwhelmed by what came out in the media,
Yeah.
And I was shocked. A lot of people you thought were just critics, but even they woke up to give you a send-off like, I never expected. So,
Yeah.
thank you. It's not one-way traffic all the time. Even the other side appreciates it.
Oh, without doubt. You have raised the bar. You've been so passionate. Are you going to be coaching this Ahmedabad franchise? It's almost as if it's been written about as a, or will you go back to commentary? You know, these are two things you spoke about.
I have not thought about anything. I'll probably get back now in the next couple of days and decide. Yes, if something comes up on the table from any new franchisee, why not? I'd love to do that. In fact, you've been associated with the game. You know all the players who are playing it. You'd probably like to encourage a few more youngsters to make it to the national team. So it'll be right up my street. Plus, I want to do grassroots level coaching. That is for me the under 15s, under 19 at some stage on a private basis. Yeah.
Oh, well, that's wonderful, Ravi. How do I say thank you? I mean, I've just enjoyed talking to you. I can see that there's nothing changed. I mean, please never keep saying about your age, because you sound more energetic today than I did. And I think that the good thing for you to talk to the media like this occasionally. I'm just wondering how you've been away from conversations for so long. That's also must have been not easy, but
yeah, it's called conflict of interest. 7 years you're not allowed to do anything else. So
I know.
I'm back.
You're out of the bubble. You're out of the bubble, Ravi.
Absolutely.
And this has been just so heartwarming. Thank you very much, Ravi. I wish you all the best.
Pleasure.
I look forward, maybe you can drop by at our Republic Studios. We're right down here in Lower Parel. So maybe we'll see you soon.
100%. Yeah, it'll be great to come and have a cup of coffee.
I look forward.
As always.
Thank you, Ravi.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.